Moorish temple science. My guess is no one has probably ever heard of the Moors. But you've heard of the Moors, but you haven't heard of the Moorish temple science. Well, that is where they got their name from. And so Noble Drew Ali, 1886 to 1929, founded the first officially state, this is in the USA, registered Islamic organization. So you think about the history of the United States, it doesn't have this strong presence of Islam there, right? The first group that was called Islamic as far as a registered group was the Moors. So understand the first group that was considered Islam in the States was not even an Orthodox group. That's kind of interesting to me. He's considered the first US-born Islamic religious leader. This guy, Noble Drew Ali. These adherents often, but not always, affiliate with a group called the MSTA, Moorish Science Temple of America. Founded, as far as its official date, in 1913 by Holy Divine Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Their claims are that they are Moors, or they will say Asiatics, who descend from the ancient Moabites. Now this is interesting. Just got done talking about Hebrew Israelites. The Hebrew Israelites who have the charts, this kind, they believe that Moabites are the ancestors to Chinese.
This is a Moabite sculpture. One of Israel's enemies, however, Ruth was a Moabitess, so not all of them, indicates Moabites can enter into the congregation. Does that really look like a Chinese person to you? I don't think so.
It is very weird, especially when you think, wait, that means you had Israel proper, and just to the south of it, you had a bunch of proto-Chinese. To make it worse, they think Edom are proto-Europeans, and Ammon are proto-Japanese. Kind of weird, but these guys say they descend from the Moabites, and they often have affiliation with the actual nation of Morocco. Not that they've been officially recognized, although sometimes, for whatever reason, the government of Morocco does do events with some of these religious leaders from the Moors. And so it's a very strange, interesting mixture and combination of a lot of beliefs. And they are not as prominent as they once were, no doubt about that. You'll often see them maybe wearing like a fez cap or something on the streets of New York City. And indeed, just a couple years ago, we were on 125th Street in Harlem, a very prominent area, and saw a number of, those are Moors, those are Moors. They still do exist, they're still out and about. But one reason why they're interesting to learn about is sort of their place in the history of these urban religions or urban cults. They are not on the ascendancy, we recognize that, but nonetheless, they are the first recognized Islamic group in the States. In fact, the book that they utilize is actually called the Holy Quran. But here's what's so weird. Let's say you picked this book up and read it, right? Which it's free, available, it's out of copyright, so you can get it on the internet. It's not the Quran that you know. Notice the full title. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. With the 7 there. Divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali. By the guiding of his father God, Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God, Allah. Great to have a fellow Yank in the house. So, he wrote this in 1927, and it's funny. You know how sometimes with these religious texts written by these kind of weirdos, for lack of a better word, there's sometimes allegations of plagiarism. Even the Wikipedia entry on this mentions that it's partially plagiarized. And then it gets to the last couple, and it actually tells where the content came from. Because it's just been lifted by, for example, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ is in there. And then at the end it says, the last 3 chapters were written by Noble Drew Ali himself. So this is the kind of thing you have going on, but what's interesting is this is going to influence the Nation of Islam. These guys, a lot of people don't know that. It's almost certain that the founder of the Nation of Islam came out of the Moors. Here's some of their artwork. Remember, this is the first mass religious community in the history of American Islam. This is a black nationalist model for the Nation of Islam. Largest Islamic community in the U.S. before the Nation of Islam, which happened in the 50s. So here in this artwork you have humanity, new era of time now. This is weird because this is supposed to represent the Moor unsheathing a sword. Doesn't look friendly, but it says, defend her or she will defend herself. The truth, be yourself and not somebody else. If I draw your cut, the resurrection with the all-seeing eye, Moorish Science Temple of America, Inc. And look in the top, what do you see over here? So you clearly see this mixture of images and symbols, and it's the idea is it's a way to find identity. A lot of these cults, that's what they're after, is trying to help you find identity. Noble Drew Ali claimed to be the second prophet of Islam. Now sometimes I kind of like that, don't you, in a way, because it's kind of like taste of your own medicine. You know, the final prophet after Jesus Christ is Muhammad. Well, actually, there's another guy after Muhammad, according to these guys. Kind of like, you know, the Baha'i. They have the great Bab and the Baha'u'llah and all that. Here you have Noble Drew Ali. Who's to say? Why can't we just keep on adding prophets? Joseph Smith was saying the same thing. Not that he recognized Muhammad, but Joseph Smith in many ways is sort of the American Muhammad.
There's a cult in London, especially. I think it's the First Love Church.
First Love Church, okay.
You've heard of it?
No.
So it's Ghanaian, and they often reference their own prophets as well. So they have this guy whom they call prophet, and he's done lots of eisegesing on the Bible, especially.
Is he alive now?
Yeah. As it applies, I believe so. As it applies to modernity. It's still common today, especially in Christian.
Yeah, and you know, Paul tells Timothy in one of his letters that this kind of thing will increase in the last days, not decrease. So sometimes when the Hebrew Israelites, for example, say to me, we're in the Bible, we're written in the Bible, I say, yeah, you are. But it's not. Deuteronomy 28, it's in Paul's letter to Timothy about false prophets. This claim was followed by this construction of this religion, which is an esoteric spiritual philosophy constructed from Islamic, Christian, and Freemason sources. And they received official recognition for their Islamic linkages to Morocco from the Moroccan ambassador to U.S. in 1986. And every now and then, you'll see the Hebrew Israelites team up and do things with the Moors. This is an example. I know it's hard to tell what's going on with a flyer, but this is an example. So this is something that drew inspiration from Islam. So the main point in a way today is that error begets error. Not that I lay this directly at the feet of any, modern Muslim per se. I would lay it at the feet of Muhammad in a way. But it's interesting to see how there's been so many cults spun off of Islam. How they've drawn their inspiration from it.